Hello, folks. This is Rick Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. A quick update on what's happening in the speaker's race. There's been a lot of movement from last week. And for those who have not been following closely, Jim Jordan is now, it appears, is within 10 votes of being having the votes to be speaker. There's going to be a vote tomorrow. Come hell or high water, there will be a vote tomorrow on the House floor. Jim Jordan is the only candidate on the Republican side. He is the Republican nominee from the conference. There are, as of this morning, there was a post which showed 11 Republican votes as being no votes against him. Those of that, at least one of those has, or two of those, I'm sorry, have indicated that they are now supporting Jim Jordan. Jordan is meeting with people, with these guys. He's calling them, he's talking to them. But, it's really important that you talk to them also. Now, I want to make something clear. Just because somebody is not on this list does not mean that they don't need to hear from you. Any Republican representative in the House, if they are supporting Jim Jordan, need to be thanked, and if they're not supporting Jim Jordan, they need to be encouraged to support him. There are lots of reasons why, but let me just be, just clear. 54.5 million people voted for a Republican majority in the past election, and no matter if you've got hurt feelings about what happened against Kevin McCarthy or not, no matter what people are saying, ultimately turning the House of Representatives over to the Democrats, effective control of the Democrats, ends any Republican agenda for the rest of the year, for the rest of this term, and may end any capacity for the Republicans to take the House back. It is in 2024. Something that's so hard fought to obtain, to let it slip through your fingers is absurd. It's dumb. It's beyond dumb. And there's a lot of hurt feelings. There's a lot of people who are upset about how we got to this point. And some of the holdouts, quite honestly, are concerned that Jim Jordan becoming speaker would be a reward for those who took down Kevin McCarthy and started this ball rolling. And whether you were on that side or you're not on that side, of the voters who matter, the 221 Republicans in the House, of the voters that matter, Jim Jordan can only lose four of them. And right now there's at least nine who are still up in the air. I'm going to go from an earlier post to an earlier post from a guy named DC Drano, who you either know who he is or you don't, but it's a credible post. This morning, before noon, you had the list that's up there. You can see them. Don Bacon from Omaha, Vern Buchanan. Vern Buchanan has subsequently put up an X or a tweet or whatever they're called now, saying that he's had numerous concerns. He's had conversations with Jordan, is supporting him for speaker now, but expressed frustration in the process. So Vern Buchanan's no longer on this list. But if you're in Florida, calling up his office and thanking him for supporting Jordan would be a good thing. Tom Cole from Oklahoma. Cole is the current chairman of the Rules Committee, which is the most important committee in term for a speaker to control. Tom Cole had is on this list. He's made some statements that some people in the local media in Oklahoma have taken to believe that he's going to vote for Jordan. But he's on the list for a reason, and he's been pretty outspoken and angry about the process that took down Kevin McCarthy. Remember, Tom Cole was the person who was running the floor for McCarthy against the vote to take him down. So Tom Cole was anointed by Kevin McCarthy as the leader, recognizing that Jim Jordan was one of the primary speakers in favor of McCarthy and against the motion to take down McCarthy. So this is so there's a relationship there of some sort, but Tom Cole's still on the list. He's on the list until otherwise noted. That's Oklahoma. You got another guy from Oklahoma, Frank Lucas. I think if you get Cole, you get Lucas. But you've got two guys from Oklahoma. So if you live in Oklahoma or you know people in Oklahoma, urge them to contact Tom Cole and Frank Lucas. You have recognized that, and I'm going to scroll down and see if, heck, one of the ways that you can do this, I'm going to just go over here and do something here. Hopefully I've got a banner that does this. I'm going to put up a banner that's hopefully is. Thank you. No. Okay. Well, I don't have a banner that allows me to do this, so we're just going to have to deal with what we have. As you said, this is kind of a last minute thing. Here's what you can do. You can if you're on our email list, it's you are receiving an email right now urging you to take action. If you're on our Facebook list, or if you follow us on X or Twitter, which I'd encourage you to do, go to the, and if you don't, go onto the Twitter page, X page. I just can't say X page, I'm sorry. Onto the X page and follow us, Americans for Limited Government. It's at Limit GOV, or actually at Limit GOVT, and follow us. And one of the first posts one of our last posts was this take action that you see right on the screen in front of you. You can click and you can just take action right from there. I am hopeful that we are putting up in the chat the link for the take action. That would be a really good thing to do if we have not. And I'm going to put it up right here. So we've got it. Let me see here. That's not going to do it. I do not want to put up what I just put in there. See what happens when you do things live. Sometimes they get screwed up, but I'm just accidentally I was put in the email list I sent the take action out to from my own personal email list, but I didn't want to do that. So the urge here, what we're urging is that you contact your members of Congress. If the Republican members of Congress, contact them. If you're in a state where your member's on board, but other members aren't, call your member and say you're from the state of Oklahoma and you're urging them to support Jim Jordan. This is a very, very simple choice. It's a very simple choice. The push from the left over this past weekend has been intense on people like Don Bacon and others who are kind of promoting it and kind of giving a wink to it, saying, hey, wouldn't you like to be speaker? Wouldn't you like, let's really show those conservatives who's boss by turning this into a bipartisan Congress. And I think you need to understand what that means. A bipartisan Congress means any hope of doing anything related to passing appropriations bills that are even quasi-responsible in terms of spending is out the window. There'll be no fight with Joe Biden on spending how much ever he wants on whatever he wants in a bipartisan House. There'll be no fight whatsoever in terms of any priorities of conservatives in a bipartisan House. What you'll get in a bipartisan House is more defense spending, more spending for foreign, you get more Ukraine spending. And you might get that in the Jordan House too, by the way, but you're not going to, it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed in a bipartisan House. What's guaranteed in the bipartisan House is you will not have a committee on weaponization of government. Jim Jordan will not be the Judiciary Committee chairman. And James Comer will not be the House Oversight Committee chairman. So you can, in a bipartisan House, all the investigation into the Biden administration's malfeasance will go away. All the investigations into the Biden crime family will go away. All investigations into the FBI and the abuse of power in our intelligence agencies will go away. All attempts to try to get social media companies like Google and Facebook and others to not discriminate against and censor conservatives will go away. and any kind of attempt to rein in the size and scope of government will go away. The entire agenda for 2024 is putting a conservative Republican agenda through the House that these guys can run on, and whoever is elected president on the Republican side can have a ready-made, ready-to-go package of bills that can pass in the first 100 days to make sweeping reforms of what's been happening, to negate the Biden administration's abuse of power through the House first 100 days. That doesn't happen. None of that happens. In fact, conservatives will be consigned to being backbench minority who will not be able to offer any amendments to anything, and will have to eat whatever the people who are in charge choose. And there's no speaker, Republican speaker, who gets in with a Democrat majority supporting him, who will be able to stand up to that majority, because they can throw him out as fast as they can bring him in, replace him with somebody else. So let's just understand this very clearly. This is not a battle for this is not a battle between personalities. We're essentially coming down to whether or not you can have a Republican House or not. Now, some would argue that they could put up another person to run as a Republican, and that's possible. But the intense pressure on the moderate Republicans, particularly in light of what's going on in Israel right now, is working against this extending any longer. And so consequently, you're not going to get a lot more bites of this apple. And this is the bites that's in front of us. And by the way, Jim Jordan has always been our choice. He is the right guy. Jim Jordan was loyal to Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy allowed Jim Jordan to run his weaponization committee, allowed him to stay on House Government Oversight and Accountability Committee to try to hold Biden accountable over there. Jim Jordan repaid that Kevin McCarthy kept his promise with supporting Kevin McCarthy against a lot of people who really like Jim Jordan, saying, you're betraying us. The fact is, sometimes you have to suck it up, and you're never going to get a more conservative candidate for speaker than Jim Jordan. And it's up to us to pull him over the finish line. Please, 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 please take the salsa ads. It's in the chat. Take action and send it. Take action yourself. Share it on Facebook. Share it on YouTube. Share it on whatever platforms that you belong to. Share it on Truth Social. It's incredibly important that this gets shared by as many people as possible, because the dirty little secret about social media companies is, if 100 people share a post, they might not let it go very far, but they let it go somewhat. And if others share it, you can create a viral post very rapidly simply by taking action. We're going to put as much money as we can afford into an ad boosting this on Facebook. We have over 500,000 followers on Facebook. We're focusing on trying to get it into those followers, in front of those followers. But the truth is, we're a small organization. We don't have that much money, and we're extending beyond what we can afford to do this. I'm not asking you to give money. I'm asking you to share it so it's effective. Love for you to give money at some point, but not today. Today, I'm praying that you will take action and share this. We're in the fight for this country right now. This is the day. There's going to be a vote tomorrow. Win or lose, there's going to be a vote tomorrow. I don't know what the vote will be the next day, whether it'll be a Democrat takeover. But if Jim Jordan loses, Nancy Pelosi is celebrating in her office. That's what happens if Jim Jordan loses. Nancy Pelosi is celebrating. And the pressure, people who bring pressure on the Republicans are not people who want a Republican majority. They're people who oppose a Republican majority. They want the Biden thing to go away, the Biden impeachment to go away. They like the open borders. Once again, Jim Jordan has promised to allow the committee chairs to do their job, the committees to do their work, bring bills to the floor, and allow members to have amendments and to fight over those amendments as they see fit. And whoever wins, that's what passes the House. He'd return to regular order. He won't have the capacity to rule with an iron fist because he doesn't have, he doesn't have a big enough mandate to do so. But we need to keep control of this, and we need to keep the eye on the ball. And a speaker who can effectively talk about the Biden crime family, a speaker who can effectively talk about the weaponization of government and the dangers of it, a speaker who can effectively talk about the need to balance our budget. Because remember, Jim Jordan ran the original balanced budget fight, or not original, but the last balanced budget fight that got a lot of attention, that ended up resulting in sequester. So we've got the right guy in the right place at the right time in history. Let's do what we can to help him. I'm going to just look at some of the. I want to look at some of the things here in terms of the chats. Once again, I'm going to repeat the names: Don Bacon, Tom Cole, Mauro Diaz-Balart, Carlos Jimenez, Frank Lucas, John Rutherford, Mike Simpson, Rob Whitman, and Steve Womack. Those are the ones who are still in the no category as far as we can tell. Vern Buchanan has said publicly he's not. There's been some indication that Tom Cole is leaving that fold, but that would be a big deal. There's some indication Drew Ferguson has posted that he's going to support Jordan. So the number's down to 9 here. And if everybody else votes yes for Jordan, this number cannot go higher than 4. So you need to pick up at least five of these folks, assuming no other people are voting against Jordan. You have to have 5 of these to be for Jim Jordan to be speaker. That's what we're looking for. So if you're in those districts, great. If you're not in those districts, contact your Republican members and urge them to take action and to support Jim Jordan, and also and praise them for doing so if they are. And then and if you're in one of the states of the 9 that I've isolated, Womack, Whitman, if you're in Arkansas, Virginia, Idaho, Florida, Oklahoma, or Nebraska, if you're in one of those states, and again, it's Nebraska, Florida, Oklahoma, Idaho, Virginia, and Arkansas. If you're in one of those states, just pick up the phone and call for this individual member. The line to the Capitol is 202-225-3121. It's 202-225-3121. And you can call them directly. We'd also encourage you to email and to share the take action, which is in the chat, so we can get some. We just need to bury these guys right now. So that's what we're hoping you'll do. Let's see what we got in terms of our good old. I'm going to minimize that and go to take this over. Maximize that, and hopefully, oh, that didn't work. That was a bad maneuver. So let's just get this back. We're going to figure out how to do this thing someday, but I'm going to just click off of this and get out of my Outlook. And now I'll go over and it should work fine. And there we go. So let's just, oh gosh, why? Okay, I'm going to just keep it over here. I'm going to go like that, and we'll just remove that, and now it should work. Okay, so now it should work. Let's look at our. Let's look at some of the quotes here. Helene Weber, hello, Alpha, Illinois. Helene, you've got a number of members from Illinois. I don't know if you live in a Republican district or a Democrat district, but there's pressure on the more moderate members from Illinois, and I would encourage you to contact your congresswoman, congressman, or woman, and I'd encourage you to call people like maybe his dad used to be was the transportation secretary. You know who I'm talking about if you're from Illinois politics. Let's see here. Yeah, Barbara, here's the thing. He won the nomination, but just like Steve Scalise won the nomination before him, he hasn't secured 217 votes necessary to be speaker. And so he got a majority of the House Republicans to agree, but he's still 6 to 8 votes short of having enough votes to be speaker. And so on the House floor. And so the same reason Steve Scalise got the nomination before and didn't secure enough votes to be speaker. This is the same kind of deal. Same, Kevin McCarthy had 200 was missing 6 votes, and as a result, he was thrown out of being speaker. So, Jim Jordan has to get to the magic number. That magic number right now, because of 2 vacancies in the House, is 217 votes, and that's what he has to get to. Thank you for asking for that clarification. I should have done that at the beginning. Marie, how are you? I hope that you will jump in and share the take action. Kathy Klippinger, Jim Jordan, yes, we need Jim Jordan. Please spread the word as far and wide. As you might have seen when I was messing around, I almost put my personal email list into the chat. Should have been bad, but I've taken this take action. I've sent it to my personal email list. And I've sent it to we've sent it to a whole bunch of contacts on the Hill as well. We put out a statement today urging, which went to every office on the Hill, plus media across the country. So there's a lot of things going on right now. Please, as a Jim Jordan supporter, if you have somebody in, email lists, you have people from all over the country on your email, and they've got contacts all over the country. Share the take action with people from your email list. Share it on your Facebook page. You've got relatives and others from across the country. I know I do. Share it on your email, on your Facebook page. Let's make this go viral so we can be successful and we can have a Speaker of the House tomorrow who will be leading the fight, not just internally, but standing up with Israel against the AOCs who want to cause America to fail in meeting our obligations to our allies and friends in Israel, and who excuse terrorism and blithely throw it away as being understandable. We cannot allow those people to prevail. We need Jim Jordan to be standing up against them. So we've got a number of others here who are in favor of Jim Jordan. That is great. You've heard my message on it. So Robin from Oklahoma, we want Jim Jordan. Robin, every single one of your friends in Oklahoma needs to contact Tom Cole and Frank Lucas. Tom Cole and Frank Lucas. Those two need to hear from people across the state saying they need to support Jim Jordan. Robin, if you would just share this to as many ways as you can to everybody in Oklahoma, that would be phenomenal. Because we have to bury these guys. And this is trench warfare, folks. I know you're used to these things where people spend millions and millions of dollars. This is akin to making a song that nobody from an unknown artist go viral because people took it up and took up the cause. You're the point of the spear on this. Make sure your friends have the opportunity to help get Jim Jordan to be speaker. Because 2 days from now, if we fail on this, I personally don't want any of my friends calling me up and saying, "Hey, how come I didn't know it was important?" Well, the reason is, it's our job to tell them. So be an evangelist. Thank you, Robin. And you'll note if you need a link to the take action, it's in the chat section. Anna, yeah, that'd be nice. I've used a lot more harsh language than that. I like Byron Donalds. He's not running for speaker. So that's a so that may be a future opportunity, but right now Byron Donalds is not running for speaker, and if Jim Jordan can't get the votes, it's very doubtful that Byron Donalds will. As somebody who voted against McCarthy in the original speakership battle, the people who were pro McCarthy are not going to. I don't think they're going to reward anyone who voted against McCarthy in the original speakership battle back in September and January. So I love Byron Donalds. He's a great congressman, and he's going to be a great leader in this country for a long, long time. I just don't know that his time is now. The person who's on the ballot is Jim Jordan, and that's who we need right now. And Helene, if you are in Florida, as Byron Donalds is, I would encourage you to contact the four, or actually Vern Buchanan's off the list, the three members who are on that list who were from Florida. There are three who were from Florida. And I would encourage you to contact them. And one's Mario Diaz-Balart, another is Jimenez from down in Miami area. And then you had, oh gosh, I can't remember the fourth one, Rutherford. And so please contact them and urge them to support Jim Jordan, and get all your friends in Florida to do the same if you are from Florida. If you're not from Florida, you can still get all your friends from Florida to do the same. Let's see here. I'm going to, okay, love President Trump. He's never going to be elected Speaker of the House. Just be clear. President Trump has his hands full fighting 4 different legal cases. He's got his hands full trying to run for President of the United States at the same time, and trying to, deal with this, have, family and stuff. And his hands are full. He's running for president. He's fighting 4 different legal cases. President Trump, even though he's eligible, it is asking him to effectively give up this presidential run for him to be speaker. I don't think that's what he should do. I think he's needed. I think he's got a big role to play, but I think that role is bigger than speaker. So I'm just being very clear. I love President Trump, but this is not this isn't the role he's going to play. He needs to play. And quite honestly, President Trump, in the context of a House which needs to keep 217 Republicans together on anything, would face some very hard obstacles related to his rhetorical flourish and how he talks about things. So it'd be really, really hard. I'm not disagreeing, but Jeffrey, I agree with you on everything you say. He's not the candidate for speaker. President Trump has endorsed Jim Jordan for speaker. President Trump is correct in that. Let's see. Yeah, Maureen, there were 4 no's. Now there's 3 because Vern Buchanan has sent out a tweet saying he supports Jordan. So, but as of noon this morning, noon today, there were 3 no's in Florida, and we have to deal with that. The 2 are down in the Miami area, and then 1, I don't know where Rutherford's from, but that's the reality, and that message has to be sent. It's just hard reality that there is. You think that everybody's a conservative, and the fact is, and they all run as conservatives, but the fact is that may not be true. So, Maureen, that's the hard reality. I agree his voters aren't to blame. I agree with you. And it's I gave you the reasons, Jeff, why Trump is big supporter of Donald Trump. He's not he would be the wrong guy. He would not get 217 votes in the House. Okay, let's just be clear. He would not get 217 in the House. It'd be great to see who won't vote for him. But the fact of the matter is, he doesn't want the job. He doesn't have time for the job because it's more than a full-time job to be Speaker. And he's got more full-time jobs than any one man should have. In terms of, and 4 of them have been foisted upon him in terms of fighting against allegations, false allegations that are being foisted upon him by the Democrat lawfare system. And we have to fight against that. And the best way to fight against that is to have Jim Jordan be a Speaker, because he's taking it on right now as House Judiciary Committee on weaponization. And he's well aware of what's going on. And he's our best chance to take it on and call it out. So once again, Jim Jordan's the right guy. Kenny Fiolkowski. Well, why can't Republicans get their act together and vote a Speaker in the show? They're showing everyone that they can't do anything. Kenny, the frustration is palpable. I am going to tell you the answer. When the decision was made by Matt Gaetz and others to oppose Speaker McCarthy and oppose a Freedom Caucus negotiated continuing resolution that forced the cuts, actually cut the budget, and passed border security through the House. When the Freedom Caucus negotiated this, when that happened, and we had this opportunity for the bridge to work, some members of the Freedom Caucus said no and wouldn't vote for it. Wasn't enough. Well, there was never going to be enough. Because I know there was all sorts of attempts to say, what if we cut more money? What if we do this? And the answer was always no. So there's no way to get to yes. And so when that got sabotaged, and we're spending more money now than we would have if we passed that CR. And we don't have any border security increase as a result. A lot of people who supported McCarthy were mad, as you can imagine. And a lot of conservatives were mad who put a lot into it. And so then there was a scramble as to who was going to replace McCarthy. And there are those who were vested in Speaker McCarthy and truly don't want people who were who they believe sabotaged the McCarthy speakership to be rewarded. And so that's what happens. You open a gaping wound was opened up, and it's been festering for a while. And now it's a problem. Once you break Humpty Dumpty, it's really hard to put him back together again. And that's what we're trying to do with Jim Jordan. And hopefully we'll be able to. But yeah, I want him to get there. And, the attack on Israel at this time makes it even more imperative that we don't go through another 2 weeks of trying to figure this out, because the political pressure to get something done will be overwhelming, and this will destroy any chance the Republicans have to maintain control of the House. A House that some of them seem more than willing to give away, my estimation, by overplaying their hand. And so we had a bunch of McCarthy supporters who took down Scalise, because the unstated, what people don't realize is there were 10 people who voted for McCarthy. A number of them said, I'm not voting for Scalise, because they viewed him as kind of rewarding Matt Gaetz. And so Scalise didn't benefit. And now we have Jim Jordan who's running, and we have to overcome that. And that's why Jim Jordan spent a lot of time talking to these guys on the phone and trying to overcome that. And, and what we're going to see is a less speaker dominant House of Representatives. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be bloody. Every single bill is going to be a freaking fight as you try to get to 217. But our system is not meant to be pretty. Our system is not meant to be pretty. And you're going to have some serious fights going on. Jim Jordan get elected, Jim Jordan not get elected. The question is, if Jim Jordan isn't elected and the Democrats are elected, you won't have fights going on. You're going to have rubber stamping the Biden agenda in order, and there'll be a few crumbs that may go how many of the Republicans vote for that their way. But by and large, it's going to be dominated by Pelosi, and the Republican House majority will be over, and it will be over for, if not just 2 years or just 1 year, it could be over for a long, long time. A long, long time. You don't take these majorities for granted. Maybe it's because I'm old. Maybe I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to remember that for 30, 35 years, 40 years, there was no House majority. We didn't get a House majority. I think we lost the House in 54. And after having it for like 2 years, maybe 4, we lost it in 54 and we got it back in 94, 40 years. 40 years without a House majority. The Republicans were essentially just trying to get crumbs off the Democrat table. You know, you could object, but the House is run by the majority. And so you didn't get amendments up. You didn't have fights over issues in the House. That's the reality of what happens. And if we squander this chance with the majority, you cannot take for granted that we'll get another one, particularly not with the kind of voter laws and election laws that the Democrats keep trying to push. So, folks, it may be Jim Jordan or nothing. I love Jim Jordan. He's the right candidate. But if you're skeptical, or anybody's skeptical about Jim Jordan, this is about whether or not we're going to have a Republican majority or not. It's time we stand up and say, yes, we are. Fought too hard to get one, to give it away on stupidity. And that's what guys like Don Bacon need to hear. And if guys like Don Bacon say no, they're not voting for a Republican majority, then guys like Don Bacon shouldn't be part of a future Republican majority. It should be primaried and taken out. Whether we lose a seat or not, it doesn't matter if he's going to vote with a Democrat majority. So all in all, this is kind of we're at a watershed moment in our nation's history. And we need to tell those members of Congress, those House Republicans, that you expect them to stand up for the conservative values that they actually run for office on. Nothing makes me madder than Republicans who you take their campaign brochures and it doesn't match what they're doing here. And when you sit there and you go and you talk to them, I mean, I had this conversation with somebody who's a good friend of mine who was chief of staff for a Republican who was kind of, shall we say, establishment. And I went into office, I was talking about something, and he was giving me a bunch of junk. And finally, we went out to a separate meeting room, and I started yelling at him. He was a good friend. I started yelling at him, saying, just read the brochure. And there might have been some expletives included in that. Read your brochure. Read what you ran on. You need to read your own brochure and do it. And quit screwing around. Well, if these guys are willing to try to give away a Republican majority this easily, then it's really hard to take them serious when they tell you in 2024 that they want to have a Republican majority. How do you take them seriously under those circumstances? You can't. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where they fumble away the majority on purpose. And what are they going to do about it? Are they going to they could be giving it away for essentially a political lifetime. And at this point in history that we're at, this inflection point in history we're at, we don't have 20 years. I don't think we have 4 years. I think we have to win a decisive victory in 2024 because this slippery slope has turned into a landslide that we're falling down out of control. And everywhere we see. And unless we stop it, unless we reverse it, unless we restore this country to the principles in which it was founded, we are going to lose this country. Oh, there'll likely be a United States of America, but it won't be recognizable to anybody who was around who pre-20th, 21st century. And I don't want that to be the legacy of my generation. I don't want it to be the legacy that we're the ones who lost America. So, this is kind of melodramatic, but I really think that's the point we are in history. So please, please, please take action. We're depending upon you to do that. And I really appreciate it. I'm going to go back. Unfortunately, I got rid of the names. Robert, if you're listening, if you could put the names up in the chat of the individual members. But I would encourage anybody, if you haven't done it already, please go up in the chat. If you go up about towards the top, 2/3 of the way up in the chat, you'll see from Americans for Limited Government the link to the campaign. Please use it to email your members, House member, but also share it. And because there are right now 9 members of the House who are Republicans who have said that they were not going to vote for Jim Jordan. Those numbers are collapsing right now. A guy like Mike Rogers, who's committee chairman, Armed Services Committee, said he wouldn't vote. There's no way he'd ever vote for Jim Jordan last week. He's announced today that he's voting for Jim Jordan. Announced that this morning. If Tom Cole, who was, as is rumored in his district, is going to vote for Jordan. Tom Cole was McCarthy's manager. Tom Cole's a leader of the moderates in the Republican Party. Okay. And it's odd that he's from Oklahoma, but he's the leader of Republican Party in Oklahoma. Let's just be clear. When I worked for J.C. Watts way back when in the House Republican Conference 20 years ago, Tom Cole was leader of the Republican Party. Tom Cole's the one who groomed J.C. Watts to run for office. Tom Cole is the signature person in the Republican Party in Oklahoma. So yeah, we need to get Tom Cole's vote. He's the Rules Committee chairman. We need to get Tom Cole's vote. So those are the kind of things that are out there. Everybody has their own relationships. Everybody has their own story. I don't get to deal with who struck John in terms of the internal discussions in the House, but they need to have an overwhelming number of Republicans contacting them. And if you're an independent, you contact them too. If you're a Democrat, you can contact them too. They need to be overwhelmed with people contacting them, urging them to support Jim Jordan and let's get back to work. That would be, that's simple, straightforward. And once again, if you want to call an individual member, it's 202-225-3121. But I would encourage you to use the Take Action tool, which is an email tool as well, and to share that, because a whole lot more people are comfortable sending an email than they are to make a phone call. So share that Take Action tool to everybody. It's free to use. If you click on it in the middle portion, it has ask for money. I don't ask you to give money on this. I love, give me money some other time, that's fine. But what I want you to do is focus on sharing this, sharing it. We need to have millions upon millions of people see this. I've sent it out to 100,000 of our supporters through email. We have 500,000 people who are on our Facebook, like us on Facebook. I think it's 517 now. Many of them are going to see it based on some of the things we're doing and money we're putting into advertising to reach them. But folks, don't take anything for granted. It's up to you. It's up to you. And with that, I'm going to allow you to jump out. I appreciate your being in here, and let's just try to hope. Let's pray that tomorrow we see a new speaker, and that speaker is Jim Jordan. Take care. Bye-bye.